is Stuart Madowitz with Closer to God.
Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, because my poem is probably only about 60 or 90 seconds, but I'm going to talk for 2 or 3 minutes. I'm a middle school teacher nearby, IS 109 over in Queens Village, 212th Street. So I teach the little kids, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I see you've got a few back here, even younger than that. I've been writing poetry for a long time, over 40 years. One of the things that we teach the kids, and one of the things that probably many of you have read, one of the authors, one of my favorite authors, is Langston Hughes. And I know Martin Luther King read a lot of Langston Hughes' work. So in my poem, there's 2 quotes from Langston Hughes, and I just want to talk about that first before I start to read the poem. The first one, he wrote a short story called Thank You Ma'am, which is a great story. If you were like me and didn't do that much work when you went to school, you probably don't remember it. But a young boy comes and tries to mug a woman late at night. She's walking home from work, 11 o'clock at night, and he grabs her pocketbook. She was a big lady. So he goes to yank the pocketbook to steal it, and he falls on the floor. And the woman, Miss, if we get this right, Luella Bates Washington Jones, big name, not a very rich lady, grabs this kid off the floor, picks him up, and says, "You're coming with me," and drags him home to her house. And he's trying to get away, but he can't shake loose because she's a big lady. She brings him upstairs, and she lives in a one room, I guess you'd call it maybe like a boarding house or a rooming house, and sets him down on her little sofa. The door is open. He's looking at the door. Should I run out? Looking at her. Thinks she's going to get me. He's looking at the door. Decides to sit there. And she talks to him. The first thing she does is make him wash his face. And says, "Why are you out like that, so dirty? Do you have no one at home to clean you up?" He goes, "No, ma'am." So she washes him up and says, "Now, why'd you want to do that? I was just walking in the street and I wasn't bothering you. Why'd you come and get yourself into my life? What do you want to steal from me?" He says, "Well, I needed the money to buy," appropriate for today, sneakers. Called it blue suede shoes. That was back in the days of Elvis, early 50s or late 50s. He wanted to buy blue suede shoes. He wanted to mug her, steal her pocketbook so he could buy himself some new sneakers. So she sits him down and says, "Did you eat anything?" Goes, "No." "Let me make you something to eat." She gives him something to eat. He's sitting there a few minutes, keeps looking at that door, decides, "I don't want to run out of here." Anyway, I'll wrap up that story. It's only about 3 pages long, called Thank You Ma'am. And in the end, she takes $10 out of her pocketbook and gives it to him. And goes, "You're not going to take me to the police? Aren't you going to have me arrested?" He goes, "No. Here's the money, go buy yourself the shoes, and next time don't bother anybody." So my quote from that short story from Langston Hughes says, "Shoes got by devilish ways will burn your feet." And I love that, because to me that's one of the greatest lines that have ever been written. I could never write anything like that. "Shoes got by devilish ways will burn your feet." At the end of the poem, that's right after the title, at the end of the poem, Langston Hughes wrote a poem called "The Negro Speaks of Rivers." Completely different, great poem. And that poem, when Langston Hughes, I forget if he graduated high school or graduated college, but he graduated school, and his father was living in Mexico. And the father said, "I want you to come down and visit me." So also, that was like back in the 30s, no airplanes. Langston Hughes was traveling by train across country to go out to see his father down in Mexico. And as he's looking out the window, I'm white obviously, but he's thinking back about his people, African people, Negro people, and he's thinking back about how black people, some came from Egypt and helped build the pyramids, and some came from Africa, and all of these different things. And he remembers Abraham Lincoln. He goes through New Orleans, how Abraham Lincoln came after the Civil War and spoke right in the square where there used to be slave auctions over there. And the quote from that is, "My soul has grown deep like the rivers." So as he's going out across country and thinking about really the soul of his people, not just his soul, and he says in his poem, "My soul has grown deep like the rivers." So I told you a little bit about me, told you a little bit about 2 different works from Langston Hughes. I've also had loss in my life, and I'm not going to talk about that a lot, but I lost my son in a couple of months. It's 10 years ago. And somebody spoke before about the sexual problem, and we all know about the gun problem in the city. I lost my son to drugs, which is probably the other biggest problem. He was 30 years old. 30 years old in 3 days. And he went to bed on a Sunday night. He was actually going to go into rehab Monday morning. My wife had fought with the insurance company for 2 weeks to get them to approve rehab. So they finally approved it, and he was going to go into rehab Monday morning. And I think what he did was he went out Friday night, it was his birthday, and he was binging and did like, I don't know what he did all weekend long. We came home Saturday night, and he was passed out on the floor of my kitchen. So, but he was breathing, and he just seemed like he overdid it. I picked him up, I walked him upstairs, I put him into bed, opened up the window, he's breathing kind of heavily. But he was sleeping, and my wife and I, we didn't really know what to do, but we said, okay, well, let him rest a little bit, and hopefully he'll be okay. We never saw anything like that before, but we knew he was doing drugs. We didn't know how bad it was. So I put him to bed. I opened the window so we should get some air in the room. I checked on him at 3:30 in the morning, and he was breathing heavily, but he was breathing, and I said, well, I guess he's okay till the morning. We'll leave him. It was 3:30. I woke up again at 5:30, and I walked in 2 hours later, and he was gone. It was 3 days past his 30th birthday. His name was Jesse. So this poem is called Closer to God. Closer to God. Shoes got by devilish ways will burn your feet. And then it says, warning, this poem contains strong language. There are things that people do not like to hear. There are things that people do not like to say. So many people criticize so many people. Sometimes I question my own life. Martin Luther King questioned all of our lives. He asked us to be the people we could be. Everyone has suffered loss in their lives. Everyone has suffered injustice. Everyone grieves for different things. Some of us can rise above the grief. Leaves turn red and rust on oak and elm. White flakes line my window. I think of afternoons at the cemetery standing near my son. 30 years and 3 days. Martin was 39 years and almost 3 months. We lean on each other's shoulders. We carry on where he left off. Blessed is the memory of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Blessed is the memory of all we lost. May his soul always soar above us and guide us on the path of justice for all. Langston Hughes said, my soul has grown deep like the rivers. Martin's soul was deep like the rivers and still is.
All right. Thank you very much.